Hello and welcome to another episode of the podcast. I don't like to say my name, so I'm not even going to say it anymore.
The Ali Brown coaching podcast.
I'm joined today by Charlie. You right?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm all right. It's morning, so we sound like we've just woken up, probably because we have. Well, you're more of a morning person than I am.
Two kids and a dog, two cats make you a bit of a more of a morning person than I'd want to be.
Yeah, and I've been in your house as well, so
pure chaos. There's stuff everywhere, kids, animals.
Like your dog is like having a 6-year-old toddler around as well, isn't it?
He runs around like a headless chicken, so there's no different to the kids. So
I love it. Whereas it's quite the polar opposite to my life, just
chilled,
living on my own. No dogs, no kids,
no hassle.
Wife.
Yeah,
just a swimming pool and
a bike, and the open roads.
And a podcast table for a dining room table. So we how long have the first time we kind of met each other? Well, it was when you started coming to the swimming sessions ages ago at Pershaw. But
yep.
How did we get in contact in the first place? Was it through Facebook or Instagram or something?
Yeah, I think it originally started maybe back in 2019. I think me and Sam were looking. We originally started back in 2019 when we randomly signed up for a sprint triathlon, and we're like, okay, we signed up now. What the hell do we do? And we were like, who's local triathlon coach? And it was, I think, fortuitous at the time. It was the we reached out to you, and sort of tried to work out what the hell we were doing, and then shortly after, in 2020 was when the swimming.
I think it started in 2019.
Yeah,
because it was going for a good bit before COVID. Because I haven't looked this up. I'm just kind of remembering on the spot. It's more fun.
Yeah,
I don't know. I could probably find out quite easily,
but yeah, it's definitely a couple of years at least.
Yeah,
since we started it. But yeah, it was essentially not knowing anything, not being able to swim, not having a bike, and just doing the odd run, and then being like, how do we actually put all three together?
Yeah,
and try and do something that's interesting.
We'll come back to that bit especially. Yeah. So when did you kind of first even hear about the sport, and were you always sporty growing up and stuff?
So I was sporty, but never more like team sport. So playing football and cricket, sort of growing up. Never really did anything outside of that, sort of individually, with regards to running, swimming, cycling.
Yeah, just team sports.
And then it would have been 2012. I had a knee operation, which was basically, it meant that I just could only do things in straight lines.
Jesus. Well, that's the good thing about what we're doing now. How old were you then?
So it was when I was early 20s, I think it was.
Not ideal then. It's hard to go through when you're early 20s when you want to be bomb-proof.
Yeah, and you sort of just don't really. I didn't really think anything of it at the time. But with regards to how it sort of changes the things that you can do.
Yeah.
So I sort of went through my 20s, I guess, where I just sort of bumbled around. Went to the gym, did the odd run, didn't really have any structure, didn't really see too much in terms of progress. Just kept doing.
It also kind of sounds quite nice.
Yeah,
you haven't got something you're doing every day, and it kind of takes over. You can just kind of chill through your 20s a bit.
Yeah,
it was supposed to do.
And that was it was, like you say, it was quite nice. We didn't have to, didn't need to commit to anything. Do it as and when you want to do it. But it was it sort of got to the stage where the end of 2019, 2020, and it was just you get a little bit of an itch for getting into something that's competitive, even if it's only competing against yourself.
Yeah.
having something that you have a bit more structure, a bit more discipline, and
have more focus on something. Life gets a bit more easier, doesn't it? I guess.
Yeah, and that's it. And I think that's what
You're not stumbling around in the dark.
Yeah, and it's just you get to a point, and it's like I just want to try something different, rather than just sort of, as I say, like bumble around doing the same things over and over again.
Yeah.
And that's sort of where it led to triathlon, I guess.
Like, why did you need knee surgery? What happened?
So I tore all the ligaments basically. I tore my
playing a team sport.
Playing football, just a very like simple like non-contact injury.
Yeah,
just a twist and a pop, and the rest is sort of history. And then
the fragile child.
Built like a glass bottle. Don't drop me, or I'll shatter into pieces. And that was pretty much that. So it as they say, like, shit happens. Mm-hmm. Not a lot you can do with it. It was something that.
Did you ever play team sport again after that?
I tried, yeah. I never really tried and played anything football based.
Yeah.
But I went back and played a bit of cricket. But it was.
That's not a contact sport, so
no, it was
unless you get in a fight.
It was just I found it more frustrating than anything in terms of like mobility and being able to do what I was able to do before. I just wasn't able to get to the same level,
right?
And it just frustrated the hell out of me.
Yeah,
it's just like when you're like sort of you're in the same body without being able to do anywhere near what I could previously, and I was like,
it's like
what's the point?
Your chance of being a pro is out the window now. Like
not even even being like a pro, but even like playing at like any sort of like competitive level, it just frustrated the hell out of me. Yeah. And that, essentially that's why I stopped playing, and any sort of like
yeah, it kind of you remind me of what happened to me in a way.
What did you do?
Well, I always kind of played football growing up.
Yeah.
Not that I liked it, I just kind of, because everyone did. So it was like you just had to turn up and just do it. And I never thought, oh, maybe I can choose not to do this and do something else, which I wish I would have had that opportunity. Yeah. And said, look, these are all the sports you can do. We think you're good at this one, that one, like you got potential here. No one ever had that with me, so it was just like go and play what everyone else did.
Yeah, and it seems similar in the sense that like in the winter you play football, in the summer you play cricket, or you do.
Yeah, like for me it was just football all the time. Like and what happened was when I was 20 or 21, I made a goal line clearance. So just after I made it, obviously my right foot, because I'm right-footed, was in the air.
Yeah.
And someone, I don't know if it was on purpose or not, came in really late to try and shoot the ball, and then just hit me right in between the legs, like really hard.
Yeah.
And then knocked me. I think I landed like 6 foot off the pitch.
So like a good effort then. So
yeah,
it doesn't
a good
sound
effort.
Like, yeah.
So obviously that doesn't sound like it was like, oh, I pulled out.
Yeah, sorry, yeah.
You kicked the ball 2 seconds ago, and I'm going to follow through with this.
Yeah.
Basically, long story short, I ended up in hospital having emergency surgery on one of my testicles.
Wow.
Because it got smashed. And I got a big scar on my groin where I had to go in. And
tell a story.
Yeah. So they had to take it out. It was all connected, but take it out, repair it, and put it back in again.
That's mental.
So that was like no more contact sport forever. I do not. Okay, we'll never be the same. I can't do contact sport now.
Yeah.
Because I'm just going to be like pulling out of everything, going, oh, I don't want that to happen again.
Yeah.
So then, like, I did nothing for a year, and I was just like, I feel so lazy. And then all of a sudden, I thought I could just do running. So I went on a few runs around the block.
Yeah.
And then I found a local park run. At the time, it was in Warsaw at the Arboretum. And there was only 30 people turned up every week. It was when it was quite small.
Yeah. And you go and win every week.
No, because there was a guy called Martin who went, and he was like a 15-minute runner, and he'd go every week. And he'd
be in the car halfway home by the time you finished.
No, and literally, and afterwards he would be doing. As soon as he'd finished, Charlie's dying. He'd be doing hill reps. up the side of the thing. Like if just
after,
say
after doing a 15-minute
yeah,
5K.
Yeah. So maybe he did he could do 15, but he did 16
Yeah.
slower, and then did hill reps afterwards.
Mental.
So,
completely bizarre.
No, but I was like really slow. I was doing like 20. Well, for what I can do now, like 25 minutes or something like that, and then.
But it sounds like eerily similar in terms of like the pathway towards it. We and me and Sam essentially did the same thing.
So Sam's like Charlie's brother, basically.
Basically, yeah. Brother. Basically, if he does it, I do it, and if I do it, he does it. But we signed up, and it was. I'm trying to think now. Maybe 2016 was the first time we got into like should I say timed running events.
Yeah.
And we went to Croom and we did a 10K round Croom.
Is that the Capability Canter?
The
10K off road.
I'm not sure exactly. It was I'm not sure exactly which event it was, but we went and I think we basically held each other's hand all the way around and
skipping through the fields.
and pretty much finished at the same time. And we were like, we did. I think it was like 51 minutes.
Yeah,
and we were like amazed by that. We were like, oh, that's so good. It's so good. And we were like,
really good for like the first one, to be honest.
Yeah, and like before that, we just sort of bumbled around, do the odd run here or there, and it was and we were so like proud of ourselves, even though and we looked at it and we were like, we sort of looked at people and they're like, oh man, I think the top 10 people were like running like 45 minutes and we're like, they're so quick, I don't know how we'd ever knock 6 minutes off our time. and
you probably could do that now.
Yeah, well, yeah, and that's the thing. It's like it's amazing, with 6 years or a little bit longer now. How things can change and you can develop. It's mental that that's where we started, and we always sort of like reference back to that because it like pops up on like a Facebook memory.
Yeah,
and you're like, remember when we did that, and we're like, this is the best that we could probably ever do.
If someone would have told you then, so you just finished that race 51 minutes and you felt like really good. I mean, like, that's a good result. Like for you're not like you're doing loads of training and stuff, and when you're starting out, that is actually a really good time. If someone would have told you then, or both of you, that in 2022 you'd have done a half Ironman you did what 5:40, didn't you? Or something?
Yeah.
And would you have believed that, or would you go and shut up?
I would completely just like probably tried to get you sectioned because there was at that point in time I didn't. I think I had a mountain bike, so it was. The first time I got a road bike was in 2020.
Yeah.
And I had pretty much never swam since never swam competitively or in any sort of like lessons outside of like a 10-year-old. Yeah. And jumping in a pool once a year when you go on your summer holiday. So if somebody said to me, yeah, you're going to do, whatever, it's 70.3 miles total, you got no chance, absolutely zero chance whatsoever. And that was and that would have been even the same like a year ago or like 18 months ago, even like, it's that close that if somebody had said that to me, I'd have been really like apprehensive in terms of even though I've got like maybe the equipment. And we do a little bit of here, a little bit of there, but I would never have been able to confidently say I can run, a half a marathon, which was preceded by a 90K ride, which was preceded by pretty much a 2K swim. You say you're crazy. Get off the heavy stuff.
But it's really because like in my experience, nearly everyone has that kind of mindset, no matter how big or small that kind of end goal is. That in reality, they kind of look at it and go, "Oh, that's too far away. I can't never get to that."
Yeah.
But you did it, and and a lot of people are in that beginner stage now who are looking at stuff, thinking, "Oh, I'd love to be able to do that. Oh, I'll never be able to do this. Never be able to do that." And it's like it's funny, isn't it? Because the human brain just kind of limits you and never lets you think you can do something that's just a little bit out of reach or something like that.
Yeah, and I think there's a good thing. I think being comfortably uncomfortable, it's a really important trait in terms of helping to make small gains all the time, which you don't even really think of, and that you are always sort of trying to push yourself to do that little bit extra, that little bit faster, that little bit further, especially over the course of the last couple of years, where, you know, especially with like, you know, our time being outside being restricted and stuff like that, it really sort of puts it in perspective in terms of if you can win those little battles that you have in your brain, that you can do things that you'd never thought were possible. And it was, you know, the and we'll probably get onto it, but the staffs was amazing and horrible in the same breath. But
yeah, we'll talk about it later.
But it's such a massive step change from where we started with the first sprint triathlon that we did.
Yeah, huge. Different sport, in fact.
Oh, it's crazy, and this is what was quite funny with that the first one that we did. Again, I did it with Sam as there's obviously a repetitive theme in terms of,
I always say that they joined at the hip.
In terms of how we do it, but we did a sprint triathlon at the Lenches Lakes.
Oh yeah.
And you know, we signed up for it in the end of July. It was at the start of August 2019, and you know, very naively, you know, we can run 5K. So how difficult is it to, you know, swim 750 meters? How difficult is it to ride 20 odd K on a bike? I didn't have a bike at that time. I had a mountain bike, so I had to borrow one from a guy at work. And so we've rocked up to the start line, and we're the only two that are wearing jammers.
Love it.
And everybody,
no wetsuits.
No wetsuits. No.
Brilliant.
So we've got like we got a picture. I can send you the picture that you could maybe plug in or whatever. But like, there's a picture of like everybody like wetsuited out, and me and Sam just sat there in like our budgie smuggler. and at that point, we're a bit like, what the fuck are we signed up for? But then you do it, and then you're like, fuck, it was difficult and it was horrible, but there was something quite nice about it, and there was like something quite rewarding about that finish. And then it's like the bug, isn't it? It's like, oh well.
Yeah.
Then you start looking at other events. You think, oh, okay, what can I do again, and what can I do to push it a little bit further? And then before you realize it, then you're like the
sky's the limit, then, isn't it? You can keep on just going bigger and bigger and bigger.
And that's it, yeah. And I think it's really interesting. Like you say, it came out of, you know, let's do something, raise a little bit of money for charity, try and get a little bit fitter, and then next thing you know is like, as you say, like you get hooked. You have that like, what if I could do this?
Yeah.
And what if I could do that? And then before you realize it, you know, you're fully immersed in the world of triathlon, and you're like, now you're looking at like, okay, how can I get these marginal gains? You know, how can I improve my swimming stroke? You know, how can I improve, you know, my bike efficiency? How can I get lighter? How can I run quicker?
And well, the way you did improve your swimming stroke, for example, was I started some sessions up at where you live in Pershore.
Yeah.
And then, because a lot of people thinking will be like, oh, the marginal gains would be like all the tech and all the expensive stuff and all the thing, and they kind of then forget about, well, actually just get someone to teach you how to do it in the right way.
And that's it, yeah. And that's what we that's what we wanted to have. We like, I think there's like
you tried a bit of like you know, techie stuff and being filmed and stuff like that, didn't you?
We tried it. We tried, and it was it was interesting. It was informative. But I still also don't think that there's a lot that can beat having somebody stand over you and just be like, "That's shit."
Is that what I did?
From my side, I think I that's a self analogy as well. But it's one of those. It's one of those. You know, things where, you know, there's the 4 stages of like competence, isn't there?
Yeah.
And we were consciously incompetent.
Yeah, so you start as unconsciously incompetent.
Yeah, and you're like, how difficult can it be?
Yeah,
and then
you don't even know what you can't do, and then you're consciously incompetent.
Yep.
And then sorry, I've got it mixed up. Unconsciously incompetent.
Yep.
And then you're consciously incompetent.
Yep.
And then you're consciously I can't even talk anymore to say it anymore. Consciously competent, and then the last bit is you're unconsciously competent because you're doing it right without even having to think about it anymore.
Yeah, and that's it. And we wanted to strip it back basically in the purest way of like, we knew we were no good. Well, I knew I wasn't good. My legs sunk. I was essentially pulling myself forward with like just my arms. There was no sort of technique to it. I was very flat in the water. And then it was just about essentially going back to being like that, 10-year-old again, where I'm doing my gold badge.
Yeah.
Teach me how to swim properly for triathlon purposes.
Which is the best thing, because I had 2 new people come to like the session this week.
Yeah.
And the first thing kind of saying is like, right, everything that you've kind of done before, been taught, forget it all. Let's start with a total blank canvas, because it's just going to get confusing in the way. So it's good that it felt like that.
Yeah, and it's horrible as well, because when we started, we had the group of people like the Pauls, the Jeremys, obviously Sams,
and Haley was there as well.
Haley, yeah, and you're swimming around people, and like my aim at the start was like, if I can get into the fast lane with those guys, that'd be really, really like a big achievement, because it's like and you can see like how efficient and how smooth a lot of the swimming strokes are, and you're just like, I'm looking at these guys and I'm thinking, if I could do 50% of what they do, I'd be really happy. Yeah. But like as we found out, like once you get into like the habit forming of, follow a plan, follow a structure, work on your technique, it's amazing how over the course of what it would have been 18 months, the improvement, the speed of of my times was in comparison to where I started.
Yeah.
And it was just, and it wasn't it was painful at the time, being in the water and, repeats after repeats after repeats, but like, it wasn't tedious at any point. It was all felt like it was, and you could begin to start seeing results quickly, even if it was like small gains, 5 seconds here, 5 seconds there. And
it felt that way to me.
Yeah. And in the end, it's like, it's not even just like we're lowering the time, but we're also building up the endurance, and then we're being able to hold that over a long period of time.
Yeah.
And we were and we were speaking recently about it. Sam, Alec, and myself. And he's like, Alex, the
Alec came a few times, but just didn't quite stick with it.
Yeah, but we said like we're trying to get back now into swimming, but it's just incredible to see how far it comes, and you don't even like when you're in the moment, you don't even really realize how far you've come.
The thing is, because I can see it.
Yeah,
you're in the moment, and I'm there with you, watching, walking up and down the side, but I'm not in your moment.
Yeah,
I'm always I always have that step back, looking at the bigger process. So I'm kind of looking at it from a different viewpoint, and every week I can see the progress that was being made.
Yeah,
and I didn't need to know. I don't care how fast you went. I don't need to know, but I didn't need that to tell me. Like, I could see how good you were getting, and of course you're going to be quicker as a result of that. And then it wasn't long until you were in that fast lane with those guys, and you were not far off them at all.
No, and that was incredible. For so many sessions where it'd be like, swim 2 lengths, let 3 or 4 people through. Swim 2 lengths, let 2 or 3 people through. And you're like, thank fuck. I'm like, I might just be hanging off on the back of the last toe, but I'm hanging on for dear life. I'm like Nemo at the back. I'm like, I'll just keep swimming. But no, it's a funny one, because like, when I started, I absolutely despised swimming. I hate swimming. I hate the process. I hate the thought of having to get in the water at 6:30 in the morning. And there's like people who obviously know me from swimming. It's like, I've got my hat on, I've got my goggles, I've got my earplugs, I've got my nose plug on. Everything's plugged. I'm ready to go. And it's like, however, the last 2 years, it's gone from something that was like a clear weakness and something that I actively didn't like try to put off doing, to actually now being like, when I do get in the water, I really enjoy it. And it's so much, it's a challenge, obviously, which is what we want, but I actually don't have that same level of like, please, not another another session.
Because it can feel really uncomfortable when you start swimming, because like you're gonna breathe in water somewhere, you're gonna feel horrible, and then after a while, when you just keep doing it, it just feels like it's kind of a bit like nothing because you're just used to it now. You don't breathe in the water, you don't feel horrible, and you just get on with it and get out feeling fine.
Yeah. The other thing I found with swimming as well is that bizarrely, it's the one that you almost reluctantly have the most comparison against other people. So like, for like, go out on a bike ride, somebody's quicker, they go past you. You don't see that person again.
Yeah.
Running, you're on the track, you go around the outside, you overtake somebody, you don't see them again.
And it's a long time until they would either come back round again.
And that was it. I almost got like the anxiety of being in the pool because, when there's only 5 lanes and you don't know which lane you go in. So you try out a lane, and as I say, you've got people up your arse the whole time. And then you start thinking, okay, I'm trying to think strategically about how I can be in the right place for them to pass me every 3 lanes.
Yeah.
And it's ironic, like they say, stay in your own lane, but like I was finding with the swimming side of things was that I would build it up in my head that like, no, I'm rubbish, I'm slow, I'm holding everybody else up. Whereas like with the other disciplines, you just go out and you jump on a bike, you jump on a watt bike, whatever, and you just cycle, don't you? Whereas with swimming, I was like, I don't like it. I know I'm really bad at it. And I just want to try and avoid having to be around people who are clearly quicker than me.
But that was the beauty of the sessions, though, wasn't it? I guess because like it wasn't like you were there with random strangers doing something completely different.
Yeah.
And you don't just get put in I think you started in the second lane, didn't you?
Yeah.
And then I was like, oh, you're doing all right now. We'll move you into
no, I'm all right, Ali. I'll stay.
You were like, nope.
No.
And then for a while, you were like still trying to like catch up and keep up with the others. And then I think one of the times of progress was when I was with me saying it a few times, and then you kind of then getting it was like trying to completely ignore them in a way and just relax into what you're doing. And then it was like, oh, I'm doing this better now.
Yeah. And I think that was the big changing point was I was trying to swim fast to keep up, but forgetting what my technique was. And as I've learned to love with swimming, it's not anything really to do. You can be the biggest, strongest bloke in the pool, but if you're not efficient and your technique isn't good, then it doesn't mean anything. And a lot of the things that when I look back now at the progress that was made, the times I've swum quick or quickest for myself has been times when I've really not actually tried.
Yeah.
And you sort of relax into it and you just go with the flow. And it's such a big thing. And staying relaxed, staying calm, trusting the technique and sticking to it is so underrated. Getting in there and splashing around and trying to go fast, and it just doesn't work. It just doesn't work.
Because I remember being because the way we swim train is called total body force, and it was kind of like when I started the group up, I kind of had to be really animated about how to do that and really get it across, because it was so different to how people, like a lot of people swim now, for example.
Yeah.
It's a totally different method. And I think once you kind of can understand it and then you kind of get the technique a little bit, you don't need to be absolutely putting so much loads of effort in. Like I always say, like a struggling Magikarp, just splashing everywhere.
Well, this is what I found with the first sessions, and obviously starting from the very bottom, was very much like I've got a 25 things that Ali's saying. Arm up, out, glide, catch.
Like I gave an
pull,
overview of what it is to start with, isn't that?
Yeah, and it was like how we sort of broke it down into little areas. Let's get the first bit right. Let's get the catch right, and then get the pushback right, and then we'll once we get that, and you start to do it. Don't kick your legs.
Return from the hips.
Yeah.
Stop kicking your legs, Charlie.
Lift your arm out of the water. There's from some of the promotional stuff that you did. There's one where you can see my arm, and they're like the water's that high, and my arm's like that far out of the water. You're like, there's definitely it's definitely later in the session. I'm going around whacking the side of the pool.
Oh, there's the pole that holds the flags up for the backstrokers. It's like set away it's like up and out of the pool. Every time Charlie swims down the side of the wall, he smacks that pole with his watch. He goes ding.
ding.
Charlie's back.
Yeah.
And like, how does he go that wide?
It's just I'm obviously not very flexible in the shoulder, but yeah, I've definitely hurt my hand wrist a few times smoking that.
But it's good timing every time.
Every
you hit
time.
one little pole.
That's it. Yeah, it's just that the technique it clearly works.
You've honed it down.
That's it. Yeah. No, but the swimming sessions, it was just incredible to sort of see and to feel the progress, because that's the thing, isn't it? Once when we stuck at it, and there was times where I was like, I just don't want to do this anymore, and it's like you get to a point and you like feel like you plateau a little bit, and you're like, I'm trying to turn my hips and it doesn't work. It just doesn't work. Or it's like I'm trying to.
Well, like after that initial bit of this is what it is, and then we're going to work on one thing at a time. Then.
Yeah.
So it just depended on what that one thing was at the time, and then the next thing, and then after X period of time, it's like things just would click into place and be like, okay, now the timing's there, and that's kind of the icing on the cake when that happens. But it obviously worked, because I was watching you at I went to watch you at Staffordshire. 70.3.
Like a proud father, watching from the sidelines.
Well, well, before I say that, so the process you guys went through at swimming, that was the first time I ever implemented that.
Yeah.
So for me, it was brilliant to see, because the impact that was making, the progression you were making, I was like, Jesus Christ, this is really good.
And one of the things we often spoke about was like, we used to think that go in, do 20 minutes, half an hour, and do 700, 800 meters. We're like, that is a good session. And then we were coming around to the end of it, and with the whatever, the 18 months worth of training and build up, and we're doing like 3,000 meters for 3,500 meters, and it's like you get out the pool and you're like, I'm all right. I'm actually okay. And
I'm going to run now.
Or a really long bike ride and then a really long run afterwards. But it was, it's just it's incredible to how those small changes, all feed into something that was much bigger. Yeah.
And then, definitely. It's like, because I've experienced that as well as training as well, which is kind of like how I was absolutely 200% sure that it would work for you guys.
Yeah,
I've done it.
Well, that was the big thing. What we when wanting to like work with a coach, you want to be trained by somebody who's been there, done it before. And
well, I wouldn't say it like that.
but the fact that you were like a GB athlete, you're the pedigree, was there for like helping to guide us to give us teach us the ropes, and it was really invaluable in terms of doing it. And we obviously had a couple of build-up triathlons before working with you, where there wasn't really a structure, there wasn't really a plan. It was like swim a little, run a little, bike a little, and you sort of get by, but you don't ever feel like confident or strong in what we're doing. And having you put us on the straight and narrow really obviously helped to build up and obviously culminate with the staff's half Ironman.
And it turned out that I watched you get out of the water side by side, joined at the hip with Sam, still got in the water together, got out together in 33 minutes.
It was
from memory.
Yeah,
and I was like, Phew.
It was a bizarre. The whole thing was choppy water, open.
And you went the wrong way, didn't you?
Wrong way. They gave everybody fluorescent yellow hats, and the boys were fluorescent yellow. So you got into the water, and was like, my first thought was like, fuck this, I'm quitting. That was
no idea where I'm going.
I was like, I'm completely out of my depth, both in the fact that one, it's the lake is bigger than I've ever been in with regards to a lake. You could barely see where we were swimming to, and then back round to, and then there was obviously hundreds of people, thousands of people in the water at the same time, that had I assume as much control as myself. And then you start to get those voices in your head. Like,
it's funny because obviously you need to go and experience it and know what it's like, whatever. And I tried to there's only so much I can do on the race day, because I really tried to like get you to get there early, get to the front, get to the front, get out of the way of the masses, which is going to be so much easier. But then obviously, like, oh, I need toilet, I need this, need that.
Yeah,
and then I was like, I was on the race day going, where are they? And I'm sort of right at the back, and I'm like, you should have been up there like 5 minutes ago.
Yeah.
Because then now you're going to have a harder time because you can swim faster than all these people.
And that's it. Like, the etiquette goes out the way. People are not waiting at the end of the buoy for you to go past. It's like,
no.
It's yeah. Unfortunately, I managed to get myself into a relatively good position and a relatively good lane for at least the first half. So once I got past the initial sort of demons of like, yeah, I don't want to do this. I fucking hate triathlon. I fucking hate the whole process. There's too many people.
This again.
That once I got that out of the way and was like, well, there's nowhere for me to get out first and foremost. So
apart from the end,
the end, yeah. So I was like, well, I might as well fucking swim it and then see where we are. I managed to get into a relatively good position where I was on the left hand side of the buoys, which was for the first, I guess,
it's the optimal side, isn't it? Because it's like a big L.
Yeah, it was almost like a C shape, but then it sort of changed towards the end. You went left.
You went wrong.
Well, yeah, you went no, but you went left round the.
And then the final right.
Yeah, and then it was right. Yeah, but then they also changed the color of the buoy, so like the buoy to come back was orange.
I remember that.
And I was like, they didn't say anything about an orange buoy, and I'm there like.
It shows you have to really get there early and study what they've actually done in the swim course. One, you've got the map, and then like just look at all the boys, count them, what colour are they, so you got it in your head, because it can be so. I've been there as well. Like you're swimming, you're going like, I genuinely have no idea if I'm going the right way.
I'm following toes. I'm just following everybody else, and I was like, why the hell are they going to this orange buoy? Because I was going to cut off the corner basically and go, and go to the yellow one, and which obviously would have been, I'd have to turn around and swim back and go that way. But yeah, it was I think that we did obviously a huge number of the indoor swims. We supplemented it as well with a few outdoor swims up at the lake. Yeah. Times. But nothing really prepared us for the sort of the size of the lake, and obviously the sheer amount of people that are around you. It was it's nerve wracking, and you sort of get those demons. But we were really when I came out the water and I was next to Sam. I was like, "What the hell have you done wrong?" I was like, "What? You should be like 5 minutes down the road."
No, it's not what he's done wrong. It's what you've done really well. That's a brilliant time.
And it was just once I got into a rhythm. I think with swimming, it's once you get into a rhythm, once you get into a flow, you switch off, and it's just like all I'm thinking is catch, pull, push. If that's right.
Place, press, push. Make sure
back round.
Make sure swimming go whoosh.
And rinse and repeat. And it was, I wouldn't say enjoyable, but it was once I got past that first 5 minutes of everybody sort of gets into you get up to speed with the people, you're at the right speed. You've overtaken all the people who have gone at the front, and they're not. Then they should be, middle of the pack, like where
you're not
we were.
out of place or anything.
No, and so once I got around that final right hand buoy, it's like I've actually survived, and actually not just survived, but actually we did a pretty good time. Which we were really happy with.
No, it was brilliant. Yeah, because I watched you get on the bike then, and then it was like a split transition.
Yeah.
So it's like, right, I'll see you in a few hours.
Yeah, and then the bike is a whole different kettle of fish. We done a lot of work on the bike as well, but I'm not sure. I think I said to you beforehand, but like I'd never actually cycled the 90k. So I'd always done like the sessions that we did were like 2.5 hours. Go out and do 75k.
Yeah.
And it's like trust the process. I like whereas with the swimming, because of the change in dynamics, the open water, the choppiness, you stand at the front and you're like, I don't know whether I can actually get round this. I know I can in a pool, but can I get this in like a reservoir or whatever? And with the bike, I was much more confident. Coming out, I hadn't done the distance, but I knew with the work that we'd done with the split trainings, the 10 minutes of mad, medium, mod, fast, whatever. Yeah,
Yeah, mod, medium, mad.
It was in the legs, but even so, you then start thinking about all of the other things that could happen.
Yeah, the horrible thing about the bike is just things that are outside of your control, isn't it?
And
it's scary.
And it wasn't really until the day, but like I hadn't really even thought about like issues that could potentially arise from punctures or dropping your fuel or whatever really early. Like at Staffordshire, that there's when you come out of T1 on the bike, you take a left, and then it goes down into the first probably 2 miles is like jagged road, bit of gravel, potholes, and speed bumps. So you're like, how best can I fuck myself up in these first 2 miles?
Did you see many bottles on the side of
the road? Bottles everywhere, gels everywhere. People on the side, they've blown out a tire trying to go, 35 kilometers an hour along the road, try and get out. But yeah, it was the bike was pleasant to some regard, but also it was again a bit like the swimming. It was just smooth because of the work that we did prior to it.
We do a lot of strength work in the biggest gears on the bike.
Yeah, and you just and that was something I was like, Ali's a big. Don't look at the watch. Don't look at the average speed, and don't just go on feel. And I was for the first 70 odd K, I just sort of just got into a position and just tried to just enjoy it as much as possible and try to relax.
Yeah.
And with that, and then I sort of looked down and I'm going 20 odd mile an hour, and I'm like, wow, I didn't do this in my training run. And I'm like, how has it sort of come together like this? And the first 70k is relatively flat, and then you hit Cannock Chase, and that's where there's like the 10k, 5-10k where there's gradual incline, and it's only the only real incline, but like it does sort of sap the legs. But even coming out, I think the bike leg came out at like 3:05. And that was, and I sort of looked at that, and average speed in the end was like 29.8 kilometers an hour, and I was like, for a distance I never cycled at pace,
really
the pace that we did, I was really surprised at that. But then again, I shouldn't have been surprised because of the training that we'd done in preparation.
I wasn't surprised. I was pleased.
Yeah, and I think that the whole experience with Staffordshire was a real pleasant surprise for everything. It's like, oh, I can swim, and I can ride a bike long, and
after having done the swim, getting on soaking wet,
and not relatively slow, or like not at a pace where you can sort of sit within yourself and then have too much. And then it's a bizarre one. I think that the thing with the Ironman that annoyed me on that was that there were a lot of drafting.
Mate, yeah.
When you read the rules and you're like, it's a non-drafting, you got to have 12 meters of gap or 20 meters of gap, and if you're overtaken, you commit to the overtake, you go on the right hand side. And I'm pretty sure the first 70k where it was flat or like undulating, there's a tail of people who are behind you that just sit in your draft, coast along, and that's that was the only thing that was frustrating, because for me, I was like, I just get into my rhythm, I'll do me. If I'm quicker, I'll overtake. I'm not going to sit behind. But then you look behind and you're like, why is nobody overtaking me?
Because they're having an easy job. If they overtook you, you'd go straight past them again.
Yeah, and that was the one thing that I did find was really funny about the Staffordshire one was that you've got we turn up like, as no surprise, me and Sam have the same bike, Planet X. Not a good,
they wear
but
the
like
same underpants.
Yeah, well, when we do, and the funny thing is, we got a good bike, but nothing that's like
it's not like a 10 grand TT bike, is it?
But that was a funny thing, was like when we're on the flats or the straights, you see these people coming up, they've got disc wheels, they're on the like whatever the Ribbles or the real expensive bikes, spec'd up to the
got the Specialized,
whatever, and you hear them like
Yeah.
They go past you, and then 2 minutes later, when you come to a hill, you go past them, and it's like I was making friends with these guys because they're really quick on the flats, and then anytime they came into any sort of change in
altitude,
and they were just they and it was just a very simple case of like somebody who's got a shit ton of money to buy a bike, but then has not necessarily focused on actually building themselves up. But no, the bike went smoothly. I was so worried about punctures, and I didn't really. I had a load of tools on me. I had no fucking idea what I was going to do with them.
I looked at this. I looked at the splits. I was like, okay, where are they? And I noticed that your transition one time was like double what Sam's was.
Yeah.
And I mentioned it to Sam. I was like, was Charlie all right? Did he have a problem in T1? It says no. Sam looked at me with his annoyed face on, and he went. Like he'd been an annoying brother, and he goes, "No, he's put on his whole cycling jacket full of tools and everything, the idiot." And
I think I was the only. I was carrying. I put a cycle jersey on,
toolbox,
and I had my torque wrench. I had a screwdriver. I was like, it'd been really bad if I'd fallen off, because I'd have been falling off onto a screwdriver and a torque wrench. I'd have really fucked myself up. But like Sam's like he's come out of the out of the water, taking his wetsuit off, and he's going in just a tri-suit, and there's me. I put my jersey on. I've got my toolkit. I've got some snacks. I was like.
Saying that though, Sam did drop all of his food though, or it went all horrible, didn't it?
Yeah, because he had
so being quick isn't always better. Like.
He did the very intelligent thing of putting he had like energy cubes, which were like jelly, down his top, which like basically just with the sweat just sweated into like a mush.
So he took them out of the wrapper, because he thought it would be quicker for him to eat it with. But then it just turns into, like you said,
it was just mush. It was just horrible, yeah. And so he lost that. Like where he was, like you say, he was through. I think he was through transition in 3 minutes. I was through in like 7.5. Yeah. And it was like a nice, Sunday afternoon or Sunday morning in the park. Nice and slow through. And it was the threat of like.
It makes your bike time look even better then, because you had some weights on you.
Yeah, I was just carrying around as basically as much as I could. The torque wrenches, Allen keys. You
can take 5-10 minutes off your bike time.
Yeah, and that was it. Yeah, it was just it was just trying to take stuff. If it had blown out,
you'd have been fine.
No, I wouldn't have been fine. I didn't. And I know obviously with the Trisutto method, like there's training on like the if you have a puncture, how do you fix it and repair it?
Yeah.
And one of the things that I'd never done was train. Like I've never touch wood. I've never had a puncture when I've ridden. So I've just been like, oh, it won't happen to me. So I've gone by so far with like 2.5 years. I've never really actually needing to change an inner tube or to fix I went in completely naive to the fact that it would ever happen to me.
Yeah.
And so if it had blown out, I'd had all the tools, but I would have not necessarily been able to to do it. But it was definitely that was I knew once if I got out and that I was if I was with the bike, if I got into a rhythm, I'd be fine.
Yeah.
It was just the whereas the swim was like, can I finish it? The bike was like, can I avoid getting a puncture?
Yeah.
Or can I avoid any sort of like.
It's like we should kind of. It's hard to fit everything in because everyone's got work. Everything.
Yeah.
But it gave me an idea, like, because I have wanted to get people at the cycle track, because there's a local cycle track which is really good.
Yeah.
And one thing you can do is you don't have to give yourself a puncture, but you can like say every lap or something. You just let all the air out.
Yeah.
And then here's a new inner tube. Put that on.
It's like
take that one out, put that one on.
It was like wasn't until afterwards, and you were like, "Why the hell are you carrying a pump with you?" Just get like a CO2 like little canister.
Yeah.
And I was like, "What the hell's that?" I was like, it was just a complete naivety to anything.
Well, it's like a lot of the times, if you were to like learn everything or be told absolutely everything, you'd be like, it'd be too much.
Yeah.
So you kind of have to like just experience a few things and like. you know, maybe I can put together an online course of all the other things that we might not get round to. But this is why we use these. And
part of it was like you don't know what you don't know.
You don't know what you don't know,
and then
there's a lot of stuff.
Yeah, and for me it was just like I'm always like, how bad could it be? You know,
yeah,
and it'd be fine. Yeah, go in with complete naivety and hope for the best. And you know, with a bike leg, it held together okay. And thankfully there wasn't, you know, once you got past that first initial bumpy bit, the roads are all A roads. They're all closed to cars. You know, you're.
So it was all right. You were all right. I think I've never had a puncture in a race either.
No, and like you say, I just went on the fact that I was like, you know, just keep on moving.
Yeah.
Avoid anything that looks to be like bad.
Don't, because they spray paint the potholes and stuff, so you can like avoid them.
And then just see where it ended up and
then you got onto the run, and I swear to God, I saw you on the run a few times, and you were chatting to me like you were just on a Sunday walk. You looked absolutely fine. You were just like, "Oh, you're right. Yeah, I'm just on a run. Like, no problem." Everyone else is like, you look at Sam, he's dead. Sam's dying.
Yeah.
Like he just had enough energy just to glance at me and just give me that look, and then just carry on again. Like.
And I think that was again. It came down to the training and also maybe a bit of the naivety. You know, I maybe could have eked out like another 5 minutes on the bike, or I could have, you know.
Well, it's the first time,
and
it's your first
again,
one.
like a lot of it is like you don't know what you don't know. And I just one of our friends prior to the event, probably like a month before, had collapsed during a half marathon because of like under fueling and hydrating, and so I had it in my head, you know, don't push yourself to the brink. You know, make sure you're well fueled, make sure you're hydrated, make sure you got your salts, so when you do come around to that last bit, when you get out onto the run, that's
the difference between collapsing and finishing.
And it was like I was like, it was in my head quite clearly, like stay on top of that, and like
it's very sensible.
Yeah, and hence why maybe from the exterior it might have looked like I was comfortable, but on the inside, on the inside it didn't feel pretty.
Chloe was saying the same. It was like, it looks fine. It's like,
and I on the run I probably I felt good for probably the first 15k. And then it was the second part of the loop when you go up the castle, and then you what 75 meters of elevation gain in the 2 kilometers going out of Stafford up the hill, turning right up to the castle, round the castle, and then back down. And then you sort of like, I've got 6k to go, and it's like, just keep the wheels turning, keep the legs going.
It's like, just keep doing what you're doing. Do nothing different to what you've just been doing.
And then it's like seeing. Then you start to think like, I am actually going to finish. And you're like at the start, and then with the bike, and you know, through the transitions, you're still like, there's no guarantee that I'm going to finish this.
No.
And it's then you start to think, and you know, it's, you know, then your body's like, okay, now you've been going for like 5 and a bit hours. It's like, you know, I'm fucking tired now. And I'm like, yeah, but you're not that tired. You know, you need to get home. You need to get home first.
You got to drive home first.
And then you know, it's going past you, going past Chloe, you know, going past, you know, Ted, whatever, and Mum and Pops, and having like people there is it's nice, isn't it? And then, you know, it just coming back from the hill, you know, you're down the hill, you think just let it roll. You come down and right, you go round the lake, and you're like, okay, it's not too far. And then you get round, and then it's like, oh, you got 4k, and it's like, how have I still got 4k? And then you come round, you go over a little lump, you take a right, and then you're like, you know, you're checking it off. You're like, okay, well, 3k to go, like, you know, 15 minutes, you know, at the pace that we were finishing up on. And then you sort of like meandering around the roads, and you're thinking like, it definitely wasn't this long the last time I came around here. And then
the more you think about the distance, the longer it ends
exactly
up being.
Yeah. And then at that point, you know, you hit 20k, and you're like, I'm starting to feel it now. So you're like, but it's only a kilometer and a bit to go. And you get round, you turn the corner, and then it's you get to the mat, and you think, oh, I'm finished now, it's all good. You see friends, family, whatever. And then on the mat, it's like
it's still 100 meters.
yeah,
it
was 250, and I was like,
it?
it was before I got to the mat. So we turn the corner, and you're like, okay, I'm in the finish bit, and it's like 250, 300 meters to go. And at this point, you're like, I just want
a lap of the track nearly.
Yeah,
like.
and then get over the line, and you're sort of like, it's over, and you're like, I've worked so hard to get to that point, and you know, from both what me and Sam were like afterwards, were just like so happy, sad,
offended at how much your legs hurt.
Yeah,
I've still got Sam's look in my memory.
And then just
I'm not doing that again. It's ridiculous. My legs kill me.
Yeah, and that's it. It was like getting to the end and having literally nothing left. But it was one of those real sort of like emotional highs, getting over the line and just being like a sense of like achievement, being able to do it, but then also being like, I never ever want to do any of this again. I don't want to swim. I don't want to bike. I don't want to do any.
That's really interesting because some people are kind of like on the high and they book their next one that night.
Yeah.
And other people are like, nope, I'm not doing that.
And it was I just remember feeling awful like afterwards. It wasn't particularly warm, but it wasn't cold.
It was mid-20s, wasn't it?
Yeah, and so we got to the end, and it's just like there's just literally nothing left in me, nothing more that I could really have given. But then also like you say, it was like I don't want to do this, and then the week after was like my body was broken. I was run down, headache. And then you're just like, no, I just don't want to do it. and then you sort of like put it off, and you get back into doing it, and it's sort of like half-hearted because there's not anything really to work towards. You like,
yeah,
and that's sort of part of the not the regret, but like I would maybe wish to have like as like a process, like there's always something else to look forward to. And
definitely, yeah.
I think that was on June 12th, and then we did a couple of other 10Ks. We never actually got to do another triathlon, which is a bit unfortunate given the fact that all that work.
You were so fit.
Yeah, and you don't really realize it, and I think it's a big step change. We were so fit and just like completely on top of where we were, and then did a couple of 10Ks and did a half marathon. But you lose it you lose it 10 times quicker than it takes to get it. And then now we're sort of back now to the starting point again. And
you're definitely not at the starting point.
But it might be
it will come back a lot quicker, but obviously you've got to come back
again. And that's where and the point is that like I'll always evaluate myself against where that was on the 12th of June, because that's like for me that's top of the tree, top of the mountain.
You can do better than that.
That's the aim now, it's obviously a slightly different course in terms of it would be.
Well, you had a bit of a break, didn't you? After?
Yeah.
So we went on a few months, and it was like, I just need a break. And then you had another child.
Yeah.
So your routines were out anyway. So you had a really good routine going into Staffordshire.
It was, it was a pretty incredible routine. It was like pretty much every day, just doing something, keep thinking, yeah.
And then I mentioned to everyone, to the whole kind of team, oh, look, there's I've done this race before, Cotswold 113. The course is so much easier than Staffordshire. Yeah, so much easier. I'm going to say this now, right? I would if you get some kind of routine going, like from now.
Yeah.
What are we now? Mid-Jan, Jan the 13th.
Yeah.
It's June the 4th. I reckon that you can get to within. So I give a tolerance.
Yeah.
5 hours plus or minus 10 minutes.
Yeah.
I reckon you could be anywhere in that window.
We'll see. Yeah, I've got to get back into a routine. It's, as you say, with another child, and just trying to reestablish what that new routine looks like. I think that's the thing. And like what we're trying to do now is just to get back into the swing, get the wheels moving again. Obviously, we're back at the track. gonna be back in the pool on a Wednesday on the evenings. Do that a couple of nights or a couple of times a month when I'm in work and trying to get the balance with being in the office.
Oh, at the sessions in Worcester.
Yeah.
Oh, wicked, yeah.
So we're gonna get back in the pool and
then on the other ones you could just go and swim at Pershore where
we used to. But like even like little things like mornings used to be really good because I get up and like Chloe would look after Ted, but now I get up and look after Ted and Chloe looks after Ernie. Right. So it's like now trying to find the.
You've got to figure out where your slots are now.
Well, the slot, the reluctant slot, which still pops up from our training with staffs, was Monday night at 8:30, which is it's almost as bad as having to go swimming at 6 o'clock in the morning.
So late to go swimming, isn't it?
It's so late, and I said to Chloe now because we try and get an earlier night given the sleep element, yeah. But really, it's just like my alarm goes off because I've still got it on my phone at like 10 minutes to, because it tells me like obviously you need to get there on time, you need to leave now basically, and there's still that like how did we go swimming every Monday at like sometimes it would like we'd go at 9 because the swimming time is like it opens at 8:30, but sometimes it'd be you go from 9 until 9:45. Right. And you like get home at like 10 o'clock and I'd be like completely like wired because you go and do like
you can't sleep then.
A 2,500 meter swim or whatever, you go and do like 20 100 repeats, and you get back and you're like, I'm just not tired. And the last thing at the moment, so I'm slowly getting back. I'm in the gym now a little bit more, on the bike, doing some of the turbo element. And also now starting to get back with the running and sort of get back into a regular cadence with the training and get back in the pool this next month and trying to begin to start scaling back up and getting back into the routines.
Yeah.
Because it's good to have something to work towards, and that's what.
And it's good for like just even like the race is the catalyst to forming those healthy routines and stuff. And also like fighting off illness and stuff because everyone's been ill. Like everyone's had something wrong with them. But like I remember you had quite a few kind of health challenges. It was just like, where is this? Like how was this happen to you? Like
it was a mixture. I think that sometimes with and we found this out that sometimes the easy sessions I didn't do as easy as the easy should be. So I found I'd probably push myself to a point where I'd run myself down. But then also we were at the time where Ted was just starting nursery, and he goes to nursery every other week. He'll bring back a cold, he'll bring back a stomach bug, and you get into good habits, you get into good routines, and then bang, you're like,
Charlie's got something.
I've got a bug again, and it's like the third time this year, and you're like, I'm really sorry, Ali. I can't go outside. I can't go in water. I can't
just rest. just chill.
But that's I guess that with being a parent, that's the challenge is that you pick up these things, and then hopefully, like you say, now I'm beginning to build up an immune system that's been able to tolerate.
You've played in the mud now for a bit,
and like you say, and I hope that like you say, with a clean run and a good build up, I think we've got a good just about 6 months to fine tune and to get back up to speed. And I think for me, it's like not necessarily even like being that peak, but also being able just to be be in a regular routine, be healthy habits, build myself up, lose some weight,
that's what it's about, isn't it?
And that's it. And all of the little factors there, like keeping active, is really good for my mental health.
Because that alone, the impact is enormous.
Yeah,
forget about times at races and stuff.
No, and often, and one of the things that a lot of this the training does, I go into like a zone where I don't really think anything. I'm like, I'll just be thinking about, okay, I'm at the track. I'm thinking about, okay, I've just got to run the next 200 meters. I'm not thinking about, okay, do I need to get some nappies? What time do I need to be swimming for Ted the next morning? And it's that sort of stepping out and doing something that just completely takes you away from anything, any stresses at work, any stresses at home. And that's, something.
It's your time and no one else's.
And that's it. And with as much as my body was completely broken after staffs, it's also that sort of, sick feeling of
give me more.
Yeah, and something that you can look back with like pride and like a sense of accomplishment, because it's not, it's not just rocking up and doing it. You can't pull the wool over people's eyes, with a 70.3, unless you have a certain degree of natural freakism, yeah. But being able to build healthy habits, build routines that build over time and just get better, and like you say, from 2019, when it was struggling to get around a sprint, not having a bike, not being able to swim, not having a wetsuit, to then go in and then building it up, doing an Olympic, and then finishing where we are at the moment.
It was a lot in a kind of short space of time, wasn't it? That kind of that progress you made.
Yeah, we're just a bit like, fuck it, really. It was like we did a sprint, good. We'll do an Olympic, done, and then we'll do an Ironman or like half Ironman, and
because it seems so far away when you enter it. It's like, I'll be fine, and then it's like, oh, it's 6 months. Oh, okay. I mean, in the endurance world, that ain't far at all.
No, and you think about it as well. You're like, realistically, if you run 3 times a week, which is probably heavy anyway, but if you run twice, bike twice, swim a couple of times, before you realize it, you're like, okay, well, that's eight a month, and then if you factor in some illness, say you lose maybe like 2 or with something, so six runs or 6 bikes or 6 swims a month, and then you go do that. It's only 36 sessions that you have for each individual element before you get to it. And you think about it, like even if you're trying to get like just a little bit better with each session, you're still putting yourself under a huge amount of pressure to get it done, and you miss sessions, you're ill, you go away or whatever, you're busy with work, kids, and it's when you start thinking of all the other things, that the endurance side of things, 6 months is nothing, and it goes with a blink of an eye.
Just about to say that, it's crazy. I spoke to someone the other day who's got a half marathon in March. I was like, what's training like? What are you doing at the minute? I'm just doing one run a week.
Yeah,
I'm like, it's in March. I said, I've got loads of time. It's in March.
Yeah,
this is not like is an endurance sport. You got to be doing at least 3.
Yeah. And that's the thing. It's just when you take out all of those elements and you're like, actually strip it back. But it's good. I'm looking forward to it, and just looking forward to getting back into the swing of things. Because you say, I'm just it got to the point where it's just like, take a step back. Obviously things outside of triathlon, and
it'll be nice for it to remain kind of somewhat consistent. So like it's less up and down, like a big, huge high and then down to 0.
Yeah.
Rather than if it means not having such a massive high, but just keep it like at a consistent level.
Yeah.
Because then in the long term, that's going to benefit your health a lot more.
Yeah.
Than just going straight up, straight down, straight up, straight down.
Well, if you look at my Strava over the course, and obviously that's not the way, but you see like there's like it like ramps it the last 2 or 3 years. It's like it ramps to September. And then October, November, December, typically like real like quiet month, and then January it's like, oh fuck, here we go again, and then it's like ramp. Yeah. Do a couple of events, and then,
that's the hardest thing, just to keep just ticking the sessions off over the winter, and still keeping the routine, even if you just go and do like just easy hour, like easy hour in the pool. So it's like there's no. That's a lot better than kind of dropping off completely.
Well, that's the thing. Like you say, with like the few things over the last 3 months, an easy hour in the pool with what it would have been in September or August is now a hard hour in the pool to get back up to speed, and that makes
start with half an hour.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and that's the thing. It's like going out and doing. I said to you just after Christmas, we when I wasn't feeling 100%, but like going out and doing 5.5 minute kilometers, 9-minute miles, felt like I was dragging an anchor around with me. It just
I feel
and you just, as like we said before, as quick as you lose it so quickly, and it takes so much work to get it back to that level that it was before. But you just got to. I think that, as you rightly say, it's about consistency. It's about.
I think I said to my coach recently, because I'm just feeling rubbish. I haven't got much intensity in my own training at the minute. I just said, I just want to get the training done in however way I can do it every day. And I forgot the exact words I used, but it was like, under no circumstances do I not want to do anything.
Yeah,
I just want to do whatever I can do that day. I need to make sure I do it, because I know if I was to stop doing it, I would just decline majorly.
And that's it. It's the consistency element to it. I think that's the thing, because you drop off so quickly, and then it becomes frustrating, because you're like, I could, 3 months ago I could do this.
It's like, I'm gonna cry. I've got
yeah. It's like running around the one after Christmas. It was like, we did do the half marathon in Worcester at the start of September, and it's like it wasn't like, it was what, an hour and 38 minutes thing, but like I'm there running around now just after Christmas, like 9-minute mile pace for like 8K, and I'm like,
but it doesn't matter. Don't even think about.
But that's part of my issue. So I'm always like, oh, but you could look at what you could do and what you were able to do, and
But you don't need to do that now. And if you can do that now, something's wrong, because why are you peaking when you don't need to peak?
Exactly. Yeah.
So like that's kind of like when I'm planning training out, is the biggest kind of say challenge or the thing I'm looking at is getting the timing right.
Yeah.
So you don't want someone to be firing on all cylinders when they don't need to be.
Yeah.
You want to gradually build it so that when that race comes, then they're firing on all cylinders. And then after that, naturally, of course, won't be able to do the same kind of paces and effort when they're not in that race zone.
It makes a big difference. And
so it's like just
thinking,
accept that you're slower at a certain point.
Yeah.
So, just how it is. I'll get quicker again when I need to.
Yep, that's it. That's what I'm going to keep saying to myself. But no, it's definitely amazing, like you say, with how much it, over the course of like 2-3 years, how much it's sort of changed from struggling from a short distance to being able to complete something that's a little bit longer.
Yeah. No, I think you'll be right. I think that the hardest thing is getting the routine.
Yeah, and that's it. And again, it's just trying to find that right one. What works now, and whatever that might look like. But it seems like it's going to be either really early mornings or quite late at night. But
and it's like then like with me, it's like I've actually deleted and unsubscribed from Netflix.
Yeah,
because I would just go to bed too late because I'm just watching crap on Netflix. That like I started watching this thing on Netflix. I'm like, why am I watching this? It's just frustrating because nothing's happening. It's just annoying me, and I just thought it's getting in the way of my lifestyle, and it's affecting other areas. So it's like cutting out the waste of where you waste your time.
Yeah, there's a lot of opportunity to waste time, but it's about how you can put it into a productive setting and a productive environment,
and then carry through with that, and not like regress back to I need my Netflix back. Like
it's a big thing.
It's a hard challenge, isn't it? Right. I think you've got to get to a meeting soon, haven't you?
I have. Yep.
So I think we'll wrap it up there. But we've still got plenty to talk about. We can do another one at some point.
That sounds good. Yeah, maybe about the phoenix from the ashes. The
comeback.
The comeback kid.
Next time we speak to Charlie, he will be hench. He'll be so fit, and it will be like 1:13 time. Time to go and race that middle. Well, just go and do the middle distance.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm just thinking about it as a day out.
I'm looking forward to it. Like you say, we got 7-8 people potentially.
At the minute, potentially 9.
It's going to be great. Team Ali Brown.
Yeah.
It's going to be dominating the start. Everybody donning the team colours.
I need to get someone with a mark. We can put a marquee at the end.
Well, that's it. Chloe will be there. She'll set up the. She'll be in charge of the tent.
Have you got a marquee?
We've got a marquee. Yeah. Where we are. We got that. We'll get that sorted. And we'll have a team base. So
this will be really nice.
It's a good time. It was a good time of the year as well. June. It should be nice. Not too hot. Not too cold.
Yeah.
Flat.
So flat. Really.
Hopefully
flat.
dry. If it's dry and flat, then it'll be fun.
Yeah. No, brilliant.
Well, appreciate the time and having the chance to relive the last couple of years.
Yeah. No, I appreciate you coming. Thank you very much. And we'll end it there.
And we'll do it again soon.
We'll do it again soon. All right.
Perfect. Thank you very much.